So I'm Judith Wallenstein. I'm a senior partner at the Boston Consulting Group, and I serve clients in the pharmaceutical industry. And on the other side, I'm the European director of the Henderson Institute, which is our think tank. And in that context, I research on the sharing economy. So I think my main point on the sharing economy is, you asked me that challenge, right? And you asked, is the sharing economy really about sharing? And you could argue it's of course not about sharing in the altruistic sense, and then you could be disappointed and say, well, that's probably not moralistic enough or worthy enough. And my argument is actually, the sharing economy is very much about sharing in a business sense. And my main message would be, I think that's the better version of sharing if we'd like to turn that into a sustainable business model. There has been a lot of debate of, can we just stop this through regulation, right? As a consultant, I look at this very much from the perspective of traditional corporations, and traditional companies have watched the sharing economy come up and said, well, can we just stop this through taxation and more regulation and, basically trying to put more legal guardrails around those new businesses? And I frankly don't believe that that makes any sense. There's obviously a consumer need in the market. We see these businesses coming up. We also shouldn't forget that in many emerging markets, they have offered people access to goods that they could never otherwise afford because they can't afford ownership. So I think there's a lot of beneficial elements to this. And then, of course, specifically when we come to the gig economy and labor sharing, we have to make sure that the risk is not just one-sided, and that the risk of unemployment and the risk of basically disruption in your career doesn't fall only on the side of the person who actually does work on gig platforms. So I think we will see quite some regulation to make sure that there's basic social security for these people, that there's potentially some basic salary levels guaranteed for these people. But I think you need to do it from the perspective of how you manage the risk, not from a perspective of how can we avoid it.